What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Tune in to Awakened Wellness with Mylaine Riobe, MD, and join the conversation about how to heal our broken system to reverse our current health crisis. The entire world is looking for answers, and the truth is hidden in plain sight. Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness every Wednesday at 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time, with live video shows every first and third Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, when you can call in and ask the questions that matter most to you.
Good afternoon and welcome to Awakened Wellness. I'm your host, Dr. Mylaine Riobe, and today we are talking about the real secrets of weight normalization and muscle sculpting. And so I'm going to share my tips with you today on how to have a competition figure, which seems to be all the rage these days. So here we go. So, last time we talked a little bit about the hidden dangers of weight loss injections. And for those of you that have been listening to my podcast for a while, I pretty much say the same thing about all health fads, all weight loss, fads, we'll call them. And so this frenzy of injections, and now they're trying to turn the injections into very convenient daily oral capsules for us all. To take so that we can finally, normalize our weight or lose the weight that we need to lose. And again, just to recap what I said last week, that's a prescription for disaster, not for weight loss. And so, why? Because anytime you force the body, anytime you short circuit the body into doing what you want it to do, so in this case, losing weight, anytime you do that in a way that short circuits the body, i.e., you're injecting yourself with something artificial, or even natural for that matter, that is, again, just kind of hijacking a body function. In this case, with these weight loss injection drugs, they are reducing metabolism, tricking your body into thinking it's full, which on the surface might sound like a good idea. The problem is, for those of us that study Eastern medicine, we understand down the road what a disaster that's going to be, is because that induces diseases down the road. In these diseases that are caused by weakened metabolism. So what these weight loss injection drugs are doing is they are inducing lowered metabolism. When you, again, artificially lower your metabolism, or when your metabolism is lowered because of stress or poor eating or vitamin deficiencies or infections or whatever the cause is, whenever you end up with a low metabolism, which is what we're inducing with these injections, that means we're losing muscle mass. That means we're losing bone. That means our bodies are scrambling to try to use fewer and fewer calories to do their work, right? When that happens, your body has to shut down body functions to do that, to comply with what you're asking it to do. And so if that continues for too long, you end up with a disease, because eventually the body has to shut off functions that regulate your blood sugar, for example, or that regulate your blood pressure, for example. And it has to instead be held hostage to go do another thing, which in this case is, losing weight in the form of losing muscle mass and burning more fat, right? And that's how diseases happen. So how do we do this the right way? We're going to talk about that today. And, we all love the hack. We all love the, get it done now. We all love just inject yourself and everything will be fine. We all love that. Because it's quick, it's dirty. We don't have to put in the work. We don't have to think about this thing all the time, right? We just show up somewhere, someone gives us an injection, and we walk away. Life just doesn't work that way. This is life. This is well-being. This is wholeness. This isn't a short circuit. It's not a hack. It's not a shortcut. This is how you live life, and We have to start to, again, put ourselves first and say, yes, I want to lose weight, but I also want to be healthy. I don't want to lose weight in an unhealthy way, right? And yes, we're being told that, well, if you're obese and you lose, 10 to 15% of the extra weight that you're carrying around, you will be healthier. And yes, that is true. So there's this controversy about, well, yes, losing weight, whether it's forced or not forced, losing that weight does reduce the incidence of heart disease. It does reduce blood pressure. It does help manage diabetes. The problem is it's causing those things also just at a later time. And so, again, we'll see this stuff backfire on us eventually. Now, it's better to be preventing a disease now than not, but there's a better way, right? There's a better way. The better way is to figure out why we're gaining the weight, right? And to reverse engineer that so that we give the body the opportunity to function properly. When your body can turn on all of its body functions because it's not being shortchanged, or it's not in a deficit situation, or it's not loaded up with toxins, right? When the body can perform all of its body functions, inevitably your metabolism goes up. Inevitably, because your metabolism is literally how many calories that your body is burning. And how many calories your body burns literally depends on how many functions it's performing, right? So again, 40, 50 trillion cells in the human body, all of them performing billions, if not trillions, of chemical reactions every day for us. So that's a lot of body function, right? All those chemical reactions are functions that it's powering. When we have vitamin deficiencies, when we have too many toxins in the body, for any reason, the body has to turn off some of those chemical reactions because it simply doesn't have the quote unquote energy to perform them. Which ones will it turn off? The hair follicles, skin cells, muscles, bones, again, those places your body doesn't consider to be as important. It'll start to turn those functions down to minimize them. So consequently, your metabolism drops because now you're not fueling those functions anymore. So your metabolism just dropped, just based on the fact that you have a vitamin deficiency, just based on the fact that there are too many toxins. So you have to identify those things and correct them, right? But how do you really normalize your weight, right? You have to raise your metabolism naturally, organically. You have to allow the body to start doing things for you that it was not able to do before. So when someone is above what we would consider to be normal weight, that is basically a combination of inflammation and fat storage because your body didn't have enough functions to perform with the calories that you took in because its metabolism is too weak. So it will store it as fat. So number one is to make sure that you're not over consuming carbohydrates, right? So we talked about the macronutrients in previous podcasts, right? There are proteins, there are carbohydrates, and there are fats. And carbohydrates are probably the least forgiving form of fuel that we have. So whether they be fruits or root vegetables or grains, it's very difficult for us to figure out how many calories am I going to burn of this beet that I'm about to eat, or how many calories of this half cup of white rice am I actually going to burn when I consume it, right? It's really hard to do that math. And so if we overconsume it, your body will take it, it will digest it, it will absorb it. And now you have however many calories. Let's say you have 200 calories worth of rice that you just consumed, but you're only performing 100 calories for that next 2 hours because you're just sitting and watching television, for example. So your body burned 100 calories, now it's got 100 left over, and it can't just let it sit there as sugar. It has to do something with it. So if it's not going to burn it, It has to store those 100 calories as fat. It has no choice. When you eat protein, so let's say instead of that white rice, you have, I don't know, 5 ounces of salmon, for example. Now you've consumed a protein, right? And you don't have to do that math. You don't have to ask yourself, well, how many calories of this salmon am I going to burn, in the next 2 hours, right? You don't have to do the math, because the secret here is your body does the math for you. When you eat the rice or the carb, you're doing the math for the body. And we're not very good at math in terms of how we estimate our own metabolism. We're really bad at math, but your body is really good at math. So when you take the choice away from the body and you have those calories in the form of a carbohydrate or a sugar, you're forcing the body to have to do something with the sugar, right? So it's either going to burn it or store it as fat. It has no other choice. When you consume a protein, you give that authority, if you will, to your body to decide for you, because protein will not be converted to fat. Like protein is almost never converted to fat. And so now what you've done is you've consumed these couple hundred calories of salmon, for example. Now, let's say you do need 100 calories to burn, right? So you still need the same 100 calories to burn. What your body has the choice to do now is to convert 100 calories worth of that salmon that you just ate into sugar and use it immediately, right? So it knows it's going to use those 100 calories. It's not being inundated with calories. It knows. So it's actually taking from the protein, converting the protein into the sugar that it's going to use. It already knows it's going to use it. Now it's going to very efficiently use those 100 calories. There's nothing left over to turn to fat, right? So when you eat protein instead of sugar, you are immediately putting your body in a more of a fat burning mode, because now your body's not storing fat. If your body is storing fat, it can't burn fat. Like it can't do both at the same time. And so eating more protein, and again, this is why I'm a huge protein fan, right? Eating more protein, now you give the body the ability to be very precise about how it runs your metabolism. And that's a win for weight normalization. Now, you still have to consume some carbs, right? You can't live your life without carbs. What I'm saying is if your main macronutrients are proteins and leafy vegetables, right? Bright colored, all varieties of leafy vegetables and a protein, there won't be enough room in your body to overconsume carbohydrates, right? Salmon's pretty filling, right? Ground beef is pretty filling. Pork, pretty filling. Chicken, turkey. Now for vegans, you have to eat a lot more volume of protein. So if you eat the same, fist size of a vegan protein, you're going to be hungry pretty soon, which is why a lot of vegans actually overconsume carbs. And a lot of people, overconsume carbs, right? They're not as filling as protein. So that's secret number one, is to make certain that you eat enough protein. So for my clients, I always coach them, like, if this is your plate, right in the middle is your protein source. Like that's the number one thing you're thinking about, is what's my protein source, right? And then you're going to fill it in with the leafy vegetables. Am I going to have kale? Am I going to have spinach? Am I going to have broccoli, cauliflower? And you don't have to count these. Sky's the limit on this stuff. You're not going to, these are not going to count as calories per se, but they are a huge source of nutrients, right? So protein is a source of nutrients as well. And then leafy vegetables are a huge source of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, all of that good stuff. And then you fill in the carbs as necessary, right? So what do I mean by as necessary? What are you doing over the next 3 hours, right? So you always want to think ahead and say, what am I doing over the next couple of hours? Do I need to add a carb to fuel that in this meal or not, right? If you're just getting up in the morning and you're about to have your whole day, the answer is, I'm about to be pretty busy. And so, yes, I will add a carb to this meal, right? So it's always At the center is your protein, leafy vegetables, and then carb or no carb literally depends on what time of day it is and what are you doing next over the next 2 to 3 hours, right? Every meal that we consume is going to fuel us for about 2 to 3 hours, right? And then it'll be time for the next meal. And so, breakfast is usually a very important time to add a carb to that meal, right? So it's protein, leafy vegetables, plus minus a carb, right? Breakfast, it's usually plus a carb. Now dinner time, now let's say it's later in the day. It's like, 6 o'clock, you're about to have your dinner. The next question is, what am I about to do for the next 3 hours? So I've got my protein, I've got my leafy veggies, but do I add a carb to this meal? What am I about to do? Right? Now, if the answer is I'm about to go to the gym, then yes, you add a carb, right? Because you have to fuel that activity. If the answer is I'm just winding down for the day, I'm gonna maybe go on social media for a while, or I might watch, one of my favorite shows, or I'm just going to sit at the dinner table and talk to my family, catch up, and hang out with them until we all go to sleep. If the answer is I'm just hanging out and I'm not doing much of anything physically, then there's no carb added to that meal, right? It's the protein and the leafy veggies, right? And no carb. And so this is how you can gauge whether or not you add the carb. So the wild card is, do I add a carb or don't I add a carb? What is always consistent in every meal is protein, leafy veggies, right? Now, what carbs am I talking about in terms of the ones that are added or not added, right? So those are going to be root vegetables. Root vegetables are calorically dense foods, right? So they have calories to them. They can be converted to fat. Grains, rice, quinoa, oatmeal, millet, amaranth, right? Those are grainy carbs. Those can be converted to fat. So we lump them in with the root vegetables. And then fruits. Fruits are very sugary carbs. They can easily be converted to fat. Right? So the carbs I'm talking about that we want to be judicious about when we're talking about weight normalization are the calorie dense carbs. So they're grains, they are root vegetables, and fruits for the most part. Those are the ones you want to ask yourself, what am I doing for the next 2 to 3 hours? Do I want to add this to my meal or not? If the answer is I'm about to go to the gym or I work at night, so yeah, I have to fuel myself because I'm going to be, I don't know, going to work and lifting heavy, or, if we're in the healthcare industry and we're lifting patients or whatever the case may be, I'm going to be walking around the halls for hours, then you add the carb to that meal because you have to fuel that activity. If you're going to the gym, you have to fuel that activity. So the root vegetables, the grains, and the fruits are the fuel. The protein and the fats are the structural things. But the proteins and the fats can be used as fuel if necessary, right? So it's the calorie-dense carbs that we want to be cautious with, whether or not we add those to our meals. And so that's how you construct your plate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Lunch usually requires a carb to be added. So again, it's the protein, it's the leafy vegetables at every meal. The question is the carb, do I add carb to my lunch? And the answer is, well, it depends, right? What are you doing for the next 2 to 3 hours? Are you still working? Are you going to the gym? Are you doing a labor intensive thing? Are you doing yard work, right? If the answer is yes, you throw in that carb, right? If the answer is no, you skip it, right? Now, of course, good fats are important: nuts, seeds, oils, whether it be olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil. Those are all things that you can add to your meals. And fats obviously are fats, right? So they're already fats to begin with. And yes, they can be used for fuel. So if your body needs fuel, it has three choices, excuse me. It either has the calorie dense carbs that you just ate. It can use them for fuel. It can use the protein that you just ate for fuel, or it can use the fat that you just ate for fuel, right? Which one will it prefer? it will prefer the carb, right? And then it will prefer the protein and the fat. So fats you want to be a little bit cautious with, right? You don't want to eliminate them from your diet. You know, so you want to cook with your olive oil, your coconut oil, put nuts and seeds on your salads, things like that. You know, those are all very important to do. You just don't want to go overboard with the fats, especially if you're trying to normalize your weight. So you don't want to skip them because they're essential for building your body back up, right? So when someone is technically obese, for example, or overweight, and they want to normalize their weight, you still want to eat properly. You still want to make sure you have good fat in your diet. Excuse me. 1 second. What you want to be extra careful about are the carbs. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that, guys. Getting over a little bit of a cold. All right, I think I'm back. So anyway, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we will talk about more tips of weight normalization. You're listening to Awaken Wellness. I'm your host, Dr. Mylaine Riobe. We'll be right back.
What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness on Awakened Wellness with Mylaine Riobe. That's MYLAINE RIOBE MD. Tune in every Wednesday at 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time with live video shows every first and third Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern, when you can call in and ask Dr. Mylaine the questions that matter most to you. Dr. Mylaine is the founder of Awakened Wellness Now, an online education community dedicated to helping exhausted entrepreneurs recover from burnout and live their best lives. She's also a practicing physician at the New York Center for Integrative Health in New York City. For more information, visit awakenedwellnessnow.com. Dream Vision 7 Radio Network invites you in for this dynamic, forward-thinking show.
Join Dr. Bernie Siegel on Mind Health Matters every Thursday and Friday, 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Bernie will draw from his inspirational personal journey, offering us special nuggets of his sacred wisdom weaved through his delightful stories. Listen in as Bernie reminds us to be fully engaged in life.
Ever wonder what it's like to have your own radio show? Well, wonder no longer, because you can dip into the radio airwaves by being host for the day on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. It's a fabulous way to get your radio feet wet. It's an opportunity to market your business, modality, or book. Have a guest, mention a sponsor, and take callers. Or you may want to facilitate a lesson by going solo. It's up to you. Listeners can be online, mobile, in cars with Bluetooth, or listen through Amazon's Echo by asking, Alexa, play Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. For more details, go to dreamvision7radio.com and click on Host for the Day.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back to Awaken Wellness. I'm your host, Dr. Mylaine Riobe, and today we are talking about the real secrets of weight normalization. And so we had a couple questions come in. Although I try hard, late night snacking is my issue. I find myself craving sweets, and honestly, if I don't have any sweets, I eat almost anything I can find, trying to fill the craving. Can you suggest a craving killing trick? Yes, protein. Protein. And if you have cravings at night, that usually means you didn't eat enough during the day. So your body will come back and get you if you didn't feed it. So this is why whether or not you add the carb is so important, because you actually want to fuel the activity, right? So people think, well, if I'm trying to lose weight, don't I want to be active without eating the carbs? The answer is no, you don't want to do that. You're actually doing the opposite of what you need to do. And I know that that's popular, right? People will go running in a fasting state, or they'll go work out in a fasting state. They'll do their cardio because, oh, I'm going to make my body burn fat. The problem with that is your body's not just burning fat, it's burning muscle and fat because you didn't feed it. So there's no trick around that. You're not going to get around it. The trick is to actually fuel what you're doing with the carb. So if you're going to the gym, you don't want to go on an empty stomach. You want to have eaten first. Then you go to the gym. Now your body actually has the calories to sustain the workout. So you're not losing muscle mass as a result of having done that. So there's a way that if you eat properly, if you're eating clean, you're eating a clean protein, your leafy veggies, plus a carb, a small carb. It doesn't have to be, big plate. It's no bigger than your fist. The carbs that you're having, whether it's beets or yams or potatoes or rice, right? You eat about an hour before you work out, then you go work out. Now you have fueled your muscles through the workout so that they can be built, so that they can be restored, right? So that's the key. You want to build your muscle. You don't want to tear them down. When you go to the gym or you go to work, not having fed yourself, you're literally tearing your body down. And that's dropping your metabolism. You have to feed the body through the activity. Then you'll crank up your metabolism and the body will more efficiently burn what you just ate. And it will more efficiently burn fat over time without destroying your muscle mass and your bones. So that's the key. I know it's very counterintuitive. And it sounds like, well, if I'm trying to lose weight, I shouldn't be consuming calories, right? It's not true. Like, I don't know how else to how else to emphasize this. Like, it's not true. It's not true that you should eat less to lose weight. It's just not true for most people. So if you're having cravings at night, you actually need to feed yourself more, but you have to be very aware of what you're eating, right? In terms of your macronutrients. So again, it's a plate, it's the protein, it's the leafy vegetables, and then you add a carb to breakfast. You do the same thing for lunch: protein, leafy veggie, and a carb, for lunch. And then dinner, you skip the carb, right? And then make sure you have snacks. Snacks are actually important to feed the body, right? So maybe it's a quick protein shake. For me, I'll do anything. I'll make myself a tuna salad and I'll just shove that down as a snack, right? Or I'll have a protein shake, or I'll have a beef jerky, or I'll have a protein bar that's clean. All my snacks are proteins, like all of them. It's really important to have snacks in between your meals. And then you will not be hungry later. You will not have cravings later. And you will be able to drop the weight in terms of losing fat while sparing your muscle. So the more protein you eat, the more muscle mass you can build. And then the more you fuel your activities, the more you really calculate, what am I doing in the next 2 to 3 hours, right? If I'm doing something very active, I have to put the carb on my plate with the protein and the leafy veggies. That's the secret. And I know that sounds weird, but that's the secret. And then you don't have cravings later because you've eaten all day, and now the body you've fed the activities. Now the body is much more efficient. So it's about efficiency. It's about allowing the body to turn on functions it wasn't able to do before. Like, that's the secret. Question: I've been on the weight loss roller coaster for a very long time. I feel like I have a lifetime ticket to this roller coaster. I lose weight, then after a few months, the weight comes back. This cycle of weight loss and gain has me using my closet for both sizes of clothes. I used to throw away my fat clothes, then I had to go buy them again. So I leave them on the right side of my closet. Help. Yeah, so that's the secret. That's literally the secret, is to have your 3 meals in the day, with some snacks in between. And of course, hydration, plenty of water. Make sure you drink a lot of water so you're not mistaking thirst for hunger. And then the other secret is to do some type of muscle building activities. So you're eating a good bit of protein. What do I mean by a good bit? The average woman needs about 100 grams of protein per day, on average. There are calculators. You can go online and look up protein requirement calculators, and you'll enter your height, your weight, and it'll tell you how much protein exactly. Most of the time, it averages out to about 100 grams, roughly, of protein. And again, if you're consuming that much protein in the day, there just won't be a lot of room for carbs, or as many carbs. And then if you're strategic about your carbs, right, you're eating your carbs when you're most active, but you're skipping them when you're not active at all, your body will become very, very efficient at burning calories. And then the other thing you add to that, again, is strength training, is muscle building activities. Whether it's Pilates, some form of resistance training, circuit training, weight training, bodybuilding, these types of activities where you're in the gym and you're lifting some kind of weight against resistance that's fairly heavy, that challenges you. You want to be very challenged in the gym, right? Of course, make sure that you warm up, you stretch. If you've never done it before, hire a trainer. It's imperative that you use proper form so you don't injure yourself. But strength training is critical for weight normalization. I really don't think that people can maintain their weight properly without some form of strength training in their regimen. Again, it's not a daily activity. You can do it 3 times a week. You don't have to do it every day. And you shouldn't do it every day, right? Your muscles need time to recover and build. So when you go to the gym, what you're doing is you're stressing the muscles out so that they grow while you're asleep, right? So we don't actually grow muscle in the gym. We send the signal to them that we need them to get bigger when we're at the gym. They get bigger while we're sleeping at night. And so, it's really, really important to have that added. And you have to fuel, again, that activity. So you have to have your protein, your leafy veggies, and the carb about 45 minutes before you go to the gym and work out. And then again, after you work out, you eat the same thing again. You have the protein, the leafy veggies, and a carb, right? You have to fuel your muscles so that they can actually grow. And then they will grow at night while you sleep, right? So when you are gaining muscle mass, you can lose fat at the same time, right? Because your muscles are actually making your body burn more calories. It costs your body a lot of energy to maintain muscle, a lot of energy. And so the more muscle mass you have, the higher your metabolism is actually cranking. The more your metabolism is cranking, the easier it is for you to burn fat. It's much easier to burn fat when you have more muscle mass. So that's important to know. Running, unless it's sprinting, but long distance running, you're actually tearing muscles down, not building them up. So again, it has to be something that is muscle gaining. So strength training, Pilates, something like that is imperative. Then that doesn't mean you can't do your cardio. You can, but you can't do cardio instead of weight training. That has to be included. There's no way around that. Otherwise, what happens is you're going to have osteoporosis, you're going to lose muscle mass, increase your risk of injury, things like that. So you want to be very, very strategic about keeping your weight normal. You know, we used to have much more active lifestyles, you know, way back when. You know, we're so much more sedentary now. So we have to somehow mimic what we used to do back then that was maintaining our muscle mass that we're no longer doing now. And so going to the gym is the easiest way to do that. I tell people, don't count what you do for a living as strength training. It doesn't matter what it is. No matter how labor intensive you think your work is, it's not really the same thing. When you go to the gym and you're doing a calculated workout, you're determining the growth of every single different muscle in your body. When you're doing something for a living, there are certain muscles that you're going to use to do that thing. So it's not as balanced, if that makes sense. So you want to have a very balanced and structured weight training routine. And again, if you've never been to the gym or you've not used one, get a trainer. It's very worth the investment. That's the quickest way for you to get to your goal. Question, I once loved the gym. My body was smoking. Then I got married. The weight slowly started to grow. Now here I am feeling bloated and ashamed of what I've let happen. Although I know the gym is what I need, but putting on gym clothes and being seen in public, I can't do it. What exercise can I do at home to help me get back in shape and do it in private? Yeah, so you can get, you can do Pilates at home, right? You can get resistance bands, although they are, in my opinion, not as effective. I don't think the bands offer enough resistance for real muscle growth, so to speak. But, you know, I know you could do, there are things like chin-ups, push-ups, sit-ups. You could probably squat different things. You know, so I would still get a trainer, you know, to help you work out at home, no matter what that ended up being. Whether it's some type of calisthenics routine, Pilates at home, resistance bands at home, you know, those are all things you can do. And again, you'd want to do it about 3 to 4 times a week so that you give yourself those other days to recover, right? On those recovery days is when your muscles can grow efficiently. And then of course, restore themselves, right? So when we go to the gym, the goal is to literally kind of tear the muscle fibers. That's what we're actually doing to try to gain muscle mass. We're stressing the muscles out and they get these little micro tears in them. And then as the body restores that, repairs that, that makes the muscle grow. And then also your body has mechanism in place to put more muscle fibers in there, so that you increase the muscle cells within each of those muscles and they get bigger. Again, you're not trying to get super bulky. You know, you just want to look toned, right? That's what all of us want. We just want to look more toned, because we know that we're healthier when that's the case, right? As long as we're doing it from the inside out, right? As long as we're feeding ourselves properly, you know, and not quote unquote cheating, right? So that's what's super important, is, you know, you can do it at home. And then maybe once you get more used to or comfortable with your regimen, you know, if you can still do it at home, great. But most people will outgrow doing things at home unless they have like a formal Pilates gym in their home. You know, maybe then you could continue to do it. Or, you know, depending on how much room you have, if you want to develop a weight training room in your home, you could certainly do that. You could buy different weights and different machines to put in. It's just hard to do with resistance bands, but that's a good way to get started, right? So I hope that helps you. It's time for our next commercial break. So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about how to actually build muscle mass, so that you rev up your metabolism the natural way for weight normalization. So we'll be right back.
What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness on Awakened Wellness with Mylaine Riobe. That's MYLAINE RIOBE MD. Tune in every Wednesday at 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time with live video shows every first and third Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern, when you can call in and ask Dr. Mylaine the questions that matter most to you. Dr. Mylaine is the founder of Awakened Wellness Now, an online education community dedicated to helping exhausted entrepreneurs recover from burnout and live their best lives. She's also a practicing physician at the New York Center for Integrative Health in New York City. For more information, visit awakenedwellnessnow.com. Dream Vision 7 Radio Network invites you in for this dynamic, forward-thinking show.
EDICIA is a U.S. nonprofit dedicated to the dream of ending childhood malnutrition for millions of children around the world. Through the manufacture of Plumpy Nut and other nutrient-rich peanut-based ready-to-use foods, EDICIA has already delivered life and hope to nearly 1 million children in over 26 developing countries. To find out how you can join EDICIA's dream of ending childhood malnutrition, please visit ediciaglobal.org.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat O'Keefe Canavas, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Burke. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Are you searching for a way to help create global change? Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's vision is to have an eclectic group of radio hosts dedicated to educating, enlightening, and helping humankind with positive messages and tools that enhance lives using different modalities and programs. If you would like to join our team and help illuminate the universe, call Deborah at 508-226-1723 or Deborah at dreamvision7radio.com. This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back to Awakened Wellness. I'm your host, Dr. Mylaine Riobe, and today we are talking about the real secrets to weight normalization. So question, I believe I have a slow metabolism, not hungry in the mornings, takes me nearly till noon before I actually get dressed. Is there a supplement that can help me get more energy? So if you're skipping breakfast, it's not a supplement, it's actually a meal. So for people that are not hungry in the morning, I would recommend something light in the morning, within about 30 to 45 minutes of getting up. That's how you get your body to start to be hungry again. So not having hunger in the morning is a sign of slow metabolism. It is. There's a way that your body will begin to think it's starving if it can't get enough calories, for any reason. So if you have SIBO, for example, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, and you're not absorbing your food properly, or if you have enzyme deficiencies, and you're not able to absorb the food in a usable form, then your metabolism will drop. Or if you're losing muscle mass from lack of activity, your metabolism will drop, and then you won't feel hungry, because your body's not burning as many calories, right? So there's a way that your body, again, is really intelligent. If it perceives that it's not getting enough fuel, it will, yes, ask you to eat more, but it will also go into a starvation mode where it won't ask you to eat more. And in fact, you will experience having less hunger. That's because it has shut down so many functions that it's not burning the fuel for those functions anymore, because it's anticipating starvation. So again, if you're not absorbing your food properly, or you're not eating enough, or whatever the case is, your body is going to stay a step ahead of you, and it's going to say, uh-oh, we're starving, we're in starvation. There's no food out there. Therefore, I should turn off all of these non-essential body functions so we keep ourselves alive. And so you won't feel hungry because there's nothing to do. The body is just shutting everything down. Now, obviously not everything, right? You still can get up and do things, but you're going to feel really tired because your body is going to be like, stop moving. We're in starvation, like stop burning fuel we don't have, right? And so it's going to make you tired. And so you have to trick it. Well, it's not really tricking it. You're not tricking it, but you're letting it know that no, there's food, so here it is, and you have to eat in the morning, within about 30 to 45 minutes of waking up. It's really important to not skip breakfast if you're not feeling like you have enough energy. Also, make sure that you have your thyroid checked out. If you're seeing an integrative medical doctor, ask them to check your adrenal system, ask them to check for a micronutrient panel to see if you have a lot of vitamin and mineral deficiencies. If you do, then that should trigger them to also see if you have SIBO or enzyme deficiencies or some other cause of, a large amount of vitamin and mineral deficiencies. And so definitely make sure to do that. But it's not a supplement, it's literally eating properly. And of course, making sure you get enough sleep, right? Making sure that you're getting, if you're a biological female, 8 hours of sleep. If you're a biological male, 7 hours of sleep, bare minimum. Like that's really essential to make sure that the body has been able to rid itself of toxins, restore itself, repair itself, do all of those things so that when you wake up in the morning, it's not bogged down with a bunch of things that it needed to do but couldn't do, right? When it's bogged down with that, it will make you tired. So I hope that helps you. But as far as a supplement, carnitine is one, which is an amino acid, so that's protein, really essentially. But protein is, again, I just can't emphasize how important protein is. But carnitine is really good for metabolism. There is NAD, which is also important for metabolism. Every vitamin and mineral is important for metabolism, so a multivitamin. But checking for micronutrient deficiencies is super important if you're tired, so that you know exactly what supplements to take. Based on what you're deficient in. So that's important. A protein shake even, so if you're not hungry in the morning, a quick protein shake, that's what I do. I'm not really that hungry in the morning, but I make sure that I have a protein shake within 30 minutes, and then I'll be starving within 2 hours of the protein shake. That's just how my metabolism is. So I just know that, and I plan for that, and that helps me keep my metabolism normal, so I hope that helps you. Your hair looks great. Thank you. Do you have a special hair product you use or recommend to get my hair to be healthier looking? It's really funny. I don't use hair products. I actually, I use a shampoo. So I use a clarifying shampoo. Other than that, I don't buy any products for my hair. I actually use olive oil, coconut oil, mayonnaise, and an egg. I mix it all up into a conditioner. I goop it all up in my hair. I leave it in there for about 30 minutes or so, and then I rinse it out really well. And that's my conditioner. So thank you. I've tried every product, and in my opinion, none of them work very well for me anyway. They all have alcohol in them and chemicals, and even the organic stuff still has to have some alcohol and other things in it, which is very drying. So I just do what my mom used to do. Like, she would literally just have me sit under a heating cap for 30 minutes, which was torture for a kid. But, I forget how she used to entertain me when I was doing that, maybe probably watching cartoons or something. But it was, hot oil treatments, olive oil, mayonnaise, things like that. And I was at my wit's end with hair care products, and the idea came back into my head like, oh, I should do what my mom used to do when I was a kid. And that really helped my hair. So I hope that helps yours as well. So thank you for that. So building muscle mass, right? Super, super important to do. What I do at the gym is, I had a trainer. That's number one. Make sure your trainer looks the way you want to look. So make sure they're toned, they're fit, they're, energetic, when you hire a trainer. And then secondly, about 3 times a week, 4 times a week is probably the ideal amount of time. You don't have to work out for a long time. You don't have to be in the gym for 2 and 3 hours. 45 minutes at the most is really all you need. And you work out 1 or 2 body parts per day, right? So I might do my chest one day with my hamstrings. That's one day's workout. I might do my biceps and my quadriceps and my abs on another day. And then whatever I didn't mention, calves, back and shoulders on a separate day, right? And you want to work out your entire body at least once a week, right? So you want to be cycling so that your entire body was worked out once a week. Once you're used to that, then you want to work out your entire body every 4 days, right? So you're not working out your entire body in one workout, but you're going to the gym and you're doing 2 to 3 body parts per day, but you're cycling back to that same muscle within 4 days, right? That's how you actually grow muscle. You want to, for example, if you're doing your chest, right? Maybe you do your chest on a Monday, and then by the time Friday rolls around, you're doing chest again. You've cycled through your entire body. Now it's time for chest again. That way you don't give time for the muscle to atrophy again. So you stress it out at the gym. You're eating plenty of protein. Remember that, right? You're eating plenty of protein. You're fueling the workout. That way the muscle is being grown. All of the muscles in here are growing while you're sleeping in between those 2, 3, 4 days, right? And then you hit it again, right? That's how you make it grow. And you do that for every muscle, right? And a trainer can guide you, I'm just giving you some tips here today, but, this is what you do. So you do 2 or 3 muscles, each time you go to the gym, cycling back to the same muscle within 4 days. That way it's not falling apart while you're waiting, right? And then you're building and building and building and building, right? And I tell people, don't step on the scale while you're doing this stuff. It's not worth it because muscle weighs more than fat. So you'll have this false idea that it's not working when it actually is. What I tell people to do is look for your clothes fitting you differently. That's the most reliable way, believe it or not. Another really good way is to go to a really good trainer who understands how to calculate body fat and who does it properly, and get your body fat analysis done. So you have a starting point, figure out what your goal is, and then you have something to work towards until you get to that goal, right? So you might be 26% body fat, maybe even 30% body fat when you start, but your goal could be like roughly, let's say 20% or so body fat, right? You just trust the process. You show up, you do your workout, you eat properly, you fuel your exercise, you get plenty of rest, drink plenty of water. And then what you'll see after about 3 or 4 weeks is your clothes are starting to fit you differently. Things are getting looser. Don't bother stepping on the scale. You don't need to, and just stay consistent. Trust the process. Trust that you're doing what you need to do. If you fall off the bandwagon, that's okay. You're allowed to have a cheat day, right? So you can plan in your cheat day, do your cheating, have your slice of pizza, whatever it is that you love to do, and then boom, you're right back on the bandwagon, right? And commit to it. Visualize yourself the way that you would like to look. right? Or I should say, visualize yourself the way that you commit to looking, right? And spend some time with that. You know, what does this look like? Who do I look like in the end? Who am I doing this for? Right? And visualize yourself looking the way that you would choose to look, right? A little bit every day, like just a few minutes every day, just so that you keep reprogramming what you're looking for in the end, right? And yes, we're all looking for better health. We're all looking for all the things that come with that. But, you know, who do you want to be? Like, who are you looking to be? Who are you looking, you know, to embody at the end of that journey, right? And the journey never ends, right? Going to the gym is something you do forever. You know, no matter how good you look, if you stop going to the gym, you're gonna lose the progress, right? So this is a lifelong commitment. These are lifelong eating habits. These are lifelong, you know, exercise commitments. You know, it's life. Just like I said in the beginning, this is life. It's not a weight loss program. It's not, it's life. This is how I live. Like, this is who I am. You know, this is the mindset that we need to adapt if we want to achieve weight normalization, right? So that's all the time we have for today's show. Thank you so much for all your questions and comments. As always, it's been a pleasure. And you've been listening to us here live on Dream Vision 7 Radio. And until next time, many, many blessings. Thank you.
Join us next time on Awakened Wellness with Mylaine Riobe, MD, to learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness. Awakened Wellness airs every Wednesday at 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time, with live video shows every first and third Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern of each month. Meanwhile, you can join our Facebook page at facebook.com/Dr. Mylaine and let us know what you'd like to discuss on future episodes. Dr. Mylaine is the founder of Awakened Wellness Now, an online education community dedicated to helping exhausted entrepreneurs recover from burnout and live their best lives. She's also a practicing physician at the New York Center for Integrative Health in New York City. For more information, visit awakenedwellnessnow.com. This show is part of the Dream Vision 7 Radio Network.